Following the loss of their respective husbands in a police shootout, the widows of these criminals come together to finish the robbery that their partners were planning. But to their surprise, it was not what they were expecting. Hey guys, welcome back to I Am Movies. Today we're looking into the 2018 film called Widows. But before we jump into the details, make sure to show us some love by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now let's get right into it. The movie begins with a robbery in Chicago carried out by a gang of 4 robbers, Florek, Carlos Jimmy, and the heist mastermind Harry Rawlings. However, after the gang successfully steals $2 million from a criminal gang boss and politician named Jamal Manning, they face a police standoff and they eventually get blown up in their escape van during the shootout. Meanwhile, it is election period, and it appears that the money stolen from Jamal Manning was meant for his election campaign, as he runs to become an alderman in South Chicago. However, without this money, Jamal was sure to lose to a wealthier Jack Mulligan, whose family dynasty has ruled the area for more than 60 years. Jack's family runs the town and almost every business owner seems to be indebted to them. Days after the robbery incident, Harry's widow Veronica grieves her husband's death, reminiscing the wonderful moments they spent together. Afterward, each of the widows also attends the funeral of their respective husbands. Linda, a clothing store owner, attends Carlos's funeral and tries to console Carlos's mother, Lita, who blames her for what happened to Carlos because she claims that Carlos got into that life to support her and the kids. Alice, Florek's extravagant young widow, attends his funeral, and she soon realizes that she is doomed, as she now has nothing to sustain her lavish lifestyle. There is also Amanda, Jimmy's widow, who has a 4-month-old baby to look after. Long story short, we can say the widows are screwed. Meanwhile, on the way to Harry's funeral bash, Harry's personal chauffeur hands Veronica a small package which he had been instructed by Harry to give her upon his death. The package contains keys to a safe and an address. Jamal Manning, the politician who the robbers took money from, is also in attendance of Harry's funeral. He and his younger brother, Jatime, who is a brutal mob enforcer, is seen from afar. Harry is buried beside his late son Marcus, who died a few years back. Soon Jack, who is also in attendance, walks up to Veronica to console her. He tells her that he had a good relationship with Harry, promising to her if she needed anything, he is there for her. After the funeral, Veronica orders Bash to help her get the names of all the men who died with Harry. Later that evening, Jamal visits Veronica and reveals to her that the $2 million that Harry and his gang stole was for him. With this, Jamal tells Veronica that she now owes him $2 million since she has automatically inherited Harry's properties, giving her 2 weeks to pay up. Before leaving, Jamal roughly holds Veronica's dog, Olivia, just to prove how dangerous he can be. At the same time, Linda protests as her store gets raided and emptied by debt collectors that her husband owed before his death. At this point, all the widows are left with nothing but debts. Meanwhile, Veronica follows the address on the package to retrieve what Harry had left her. However, Veronica only finds a book with pictures of a man and a lady on a bed, alongside detailed plans for his next heist, which involves stealing $5 million. With this, Veronica visits Bobby Welsh, a disabled bowling alley worker who was formerly involved with Harry, to seek help on how to go about it. However, Bobby advises Veronica to sell the book to pay off the debt, but she instead decides to pull off the next heist. Realizing that she can't do it alone, Veronica invites the other widows to help her, knowing they all need the money. However, only Alice and Linda showed up to the meeting as Amanda couldn't make it because of her baby. First, Veronica hands each of them some money, and then goes ahead to reveal her plans to them. Alice and Linda refuse her offer, but after realizing that they do not have any other alternatives, they accept the offer, agreeing to meet the next day by 11:59 p.m. Meanwhile, the next day after a church service, Jamal meets Reverend Wheeler, a strong religious figure, in an attempt to solicit his support. But Jamal soon realizes that Wheeler has already taken sides with Jack Mulligan's. We also meet a lady named Belle, who works as a beautician and also babysits on the side to raise money for her daughter's education. Later that night, Belle gets called by Linda to babysit her kids as she goes to meet Veronica. Meanwhile, Jatime, who had been trailing Veronica, attacks Bobby in an attempt to draw information from him. Following this attack, Bobby tells Jatime about the book that Harry had left Veronica, including the details it holds, and Jatime leaves, promising to return if he finds any of it to be false. Jatime tells Jamal about the notebook, but Jamal insists he only wants his money. At the same time, Veronica meets with Linda and Alice as they begin to plan how to go about the heist. However, there is one problem. The blueprint of the building they plan to rob does not carry an address. With this, Veronica tasks Linda with finding the exact location of the building, while Alice is tasked with purchasing guns and an escape van. The next day, Alice goes to a car auction to buy a van, and afterward calls Veronica to come pick it up, stating that she doesn't know how to drive. With this, Veronica realizes that they need a getaway driver, and she considers talking to Bash about it. Afterward, Alice goes to a gun store and manages to convince a woman to help her buy guns, lying to the woman that she needs them to defend herself against her abusive husband, adding that she's an illegal immigrant who can't go to the police. Meanwhile, Linda poses as a company worker and visits a man whose wife is believed to have designed the blueprints of the house she is looking for. However, she soon gets disappointed when she realizes that the man's wife had died 4 months prior. Luckily for Linda, Alice later offers to help her locate the building using the help of a real estate developer, David, whom she dated before. Later that day, Jatem and his gang visit Bash, asking him to help him get Harry's notebook from Veronica. However, Bash tells them he doesn't know anything about the notebook, and they kill him with no disregard. The next day, Veronica receives an envelope containing Bash's ring and immediately gets a call from Jamal, who reminds her that she only has 1 week left to pay up. With this, Veronica realizes that Bash is now dead and she needs to act fast. Later that night, Alice manages to get information about the location of the building from David by using her body. However, while at it, Veronica's knock interrupts them, and David leaves. Veronica reveals that Jamal killed Bash, and that he is now after her life, stating that she no longer feels safe in her house. The next day, as the three women meet, Linda angrily tells Veronica to look for another driver, stating that she's already on the verge of losing everything. With this, Veronica visits Amanda, asking her if she knows anyone who could be their getaway driver. At the same time, Amanda's baby begins to cry and leaves to attend to him. However, Veronica's dog soon begins to bark in front of a room, and as Veronica goes to pick up the dog, she spots a pocket whiskey flask that belongs to her husband, Harry. With this, Veronica immediately feels betrayed and leaves in tears, knowing that Harry is still alive. Veronica and Harry's marriage started falling apart years back when Marcus, their son, was killed by a cop after getting pulled over. The police officer shot Marcus immediately when he refused to show his hands, thinking he was about to pull out a gun. After Marcus's death, Harry got involved with Amanda. It is then revealed that Harry and Jack Mulligan planned the whole robbery to stop Jamal Manning from getting funds to launch his election campaign. It also becomes clear that Harry blew up his whole gang during the robbery, making it look like an accidental explosion during a supposed standoff with the police. Jack Mulligan had also helped Harry bribe detectives and medical examiners to declare him dead with the others. However, Harry didn't seem contented with the money he got from the job, since Jack took the bigger cut. Meanwhile, Belle tells Linda that she needs a lot of money, and Linda asks her if she can drive, which she answers yes. With this, Linda takes Belle to their meeting spot later that night and introduces her as the new driver. Although hesitant, Veronica accepts Belle into the group after realizing she is fully prepared for the job. The next day, Belle spies on the Mulligans' residence to spot how their security system works. She also spots a familiar guy coming out of Jack Mulligan's office, who had been coming to collect money from her boss at the salon where she does her part-time. Meanwhile, Veronica goes into the building to visit Jack under the guise that she wants to seek protection from Jamal. However, Jack turns her away, reminding her that she doesn't live in his ward, and afterward advises her to speak to the police instead. The next day at the salon, Belle confronts her boss about the real owner of the salon, and she soon realizes that the salon is actually owned by Jack, and that her boss has been slaving for him all along. Back in the planning room, Veronica makes the women carry heavy bags to simulate how they would move the money out. While the women are training, Veronica heads out to get the security code to the safe. Veronica threatens Ken, the CEO of the Mulligan's security company. The nude photos of a man and girl that Harry left in his files is actually for blackmail purposes. Although hesitant, Ken finally bows to pressure and gives Veronica the codes to the Mulligan's safe. However, Jatemi continues to trail Veronica, following her every move. With this, they decide to strike that same night, the day of the election, since the Mulligans will be away. Later that night, Belle distracts the security guards outside by firing flares into nearby cars. With the police gone, Veronica, Linda, and Alice get inside with masks and devices that disguise their voices, while Belle waits in the van. Inside the house, they attack the security officer with a taser gun till he passes out. Afterward, they make it to the safe and take all of the money. However, on their way out, they get confronted by Tom Mulligan, who orders them to drop their weapon, and afterward unmasks Veronica. He manages to shoot Alice in her shoulder, but Linda ends up shooting him and Tom dies. The ladies run out of the house and head to the van, only to find Belle held at gunpoint by Jatemi, who had been sent by Jamal to take all the money. Afterward, Jatemi hijacks the van, leaving the ladies stranded. However, the ladies decide to give him a chase, and they end up ramming the back of the van, causing Jatemi to crash the van, which leads to his death. Soon they empty the money into their car, and Veronica takes the money away, while Linda immediately takes Alice to the hospital, before she loses too much blood. Veronica makes her way to their hideout. While moving the money into her car, Harry suddenly appears and Veronica immediately starts crying. At this time, Veronica tells Harry how angry and heartbroken she feels after his betrayal, revealing that she knows about the baby he had with Amanda. Harry attempts to justify what he did, stating that he was looking out for himself and his new family. Afterward, Harry asks her to give him the money, but when Veronica refuses to do so, he hits her and tackles her to the ground. As he walks away with the money, he turns to kill Veronica, but she shoots him dead first with the gun that Linda used to kill Tom. Afterward, Veronica places the same gun in Harry's hands, trying to make it look like he planned it all by himself. The next day, after getting her share of the money, Belle anonymously leaves a huge amount of money for her boss in the salon, and also leaves town to start a new life, while Linda is able to buy back the shop as she celebrates with her kids. On the other hand, Alice meets up with one of her friends and discuss a business they want to put up. In the same restaurant, we see Veronica talking to a school principal, who she wants to rebuild a school library and name her son Marcus after. As the movie ends, Jack ends up winning the election by way of sympathy votes due to his father Tom's death. And this is where our story ends. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.